Hello everyone, good evening. So, if you remember in last class, we learned uh, REST integration. Okay, so how we can connect through our Pega REST connector to any other service, external service, and get the details. Okay, so if you remember what we were doing, we were getting the weather informations. Okay, by passing the city and few other details. Okay, so today we will be seeing the soap connector. Okay, so like how we can connect through soap. Okay, so soap is another protocol to connect to other system. So we have few, you can see here also there are like multiple ways we can connect to other systems. It all depends like which service you are configuring, and the server, okay, or the service provider is exposing that services in which like protocol. So it can be REST, it can be SOAP, there can be multiple ways. Okay, so you can read the like read in Google like what is the difference between SOAP and REST. There are like many articles is there, because nowadays most of the companies, yeah, they're migrating their SOAP services to REST. Okay, but still you should know this how to consume, because still many of the organizations are using this one. So let's start that. Okay, so to start that, if you remember, so I'll compare, I'll keep comparing that things from that rest how we come, how we configure that REST one, and how we'll do the SOAP one. So if you remember in the SOAP one, we had that URL, endpoint URL, but here we don't have the endpoint URL. So here you can see that the system is asking for WSDL URL. Okay, so either you can give the WSDL URL or that visual file. Okay, so I did some Google and find out this is that WSDL which is available, okay, in free, and we can use it. So it provides some services under this WSDL. So like what happens in one package. Okay, so you can see that here country info service is a kind of a package. Inside that we have a multiple methods. Okay, so you can see that list of continents by name, list of continents by code, and there are like many multiple methods, or you can say services are there. Okay, so what we will be doing, we'll be using this WSDL to consume the services. Okay, so here you can see that. Okay, so that for this all methods, okay, when I clicked on this service descriptions, I saw that WSDL. Okay, so WSDL is a service descriptions. So I'll copy this one and then paste it here. So I'll attach this also in YouTube video, so that if you want you can consume and do your POC and learn. So now I'll paste it here. Okay, so the moment I'll paste it and click next, you can see that the list of methods, whatever we can see here, everything will come. So you can see the here it is starting from the continent by name and ending language ISO code. So see, all those methods are there, language ISO code and here. So if you want in one shot, we can consume all. Okay, so we can select and consume all. So what will happen in Pega, it will create these many connectors. Okay, for each one we will have that as well. So either we can consume one service, okay, or we can select how many we want. So it can be you can ask a question that when we can consume few and when we can consume all. So it all depends on your requirement. Let's say in this package, okay, your organizations have built 20 services, but for your applications you only need 4, so you can just consume 4, you don't have to consume all. So in that way, like you can select. So let's say here we are selecting all. So instead of selecting all, what we will also be doing, I'll just consume this one here. This one will consume country currency. So what basically it does is, so I'll show you in Postman. I've already configured this service. So what happens, so if I'm passing that country, then it just give me that the country dollar name. Okay, so you can see that for CN it's giving Canadian dollar. Let me put IN. So you can see that it is giving rupee. Okay, and then if I'll put USA, so it's asking US, let me put US. So you can see that we got a dollar. So this is how this service is working. So I'll just consume all methods, I'll not consume all. Okay, so after selecting the methods, okay, so operations, or we can say methods, so whatever you can say, here it's saying select operations. So I'm selecting only one and then clicking next. In the next, it is asking me to give a name. Okay, so here it is taking the name from the WSDL. Okay, but I can give some different name, that's fine. And then here in int, okay, so you need to see that at what layer you want to consume. So like today, let's say I want to consume at integration, like organizations layer. So what I have to do at organizations layer, if you see, I should have an int class. So see, I have int class. So I want to consume this as integrations layer, at integrations layer. So I'll just put this integrations layer class. So now you can see that integrations layer class, and then this name, it's a forming that integration class. Okay, and after that all services will get consumed. So instead of having this name, what I'll do, I'll just copy this one name and I'll give country info, because this service like altogether belongs for country info. So I'll just update this name. So you can see that our new class is country int, like this is the organizations, and then int, and then country inf. So here we can update that as well. So country info. Now the next thing is that it is asking me to give the rule set. Okay, so we can give that rule set also here. So let me update this one, make it I in caps. So this is fine, country info, and then here we can give that same country info rule set. So here what we are trying to do, we are trying to configure this in a separate rule set. So it all depends, like if you want to configure in a separate rule set, or you want to like consume in your applications rule set, application integrations rule set. So it all depends on you and your team. Okay, but like you are free. Usually as a best practices, you can create for one service package, like let's say for the country info, you can create in one rule set. Okay, so that if you want to distribute this to someone else in your organizations, you can simply take the package of this rule set and share with others. Now we can preview, so and see that how many rules we are getting, it will create. So you can see that total for this one, it is creating 14 rules. So let's review that rule. So class we know. Okay, so definitely to create the data model, it will create the class and the property. The next thing is that the connect SOAP. So if you remember in connect rest, okay, we had created a connect rest. So here we are creating a connect SOAP. We have only selected one operations, that is where it is coming one, and then we have one parse XML and XML stream rule. So let's understand this one. So this is a very important, two important rules. Okay, so you can search in PDN and find out okay what it is, but I'll explain on a high level. So parse XML, what it does is, so let's say that from the request, okay, when external system like calls us, okay, or when we will call, okay, so let's say when we will call, so what we will be doing, okay, our data will be there in a clipboard format. Okay, so to make that XML structure, we have to use XML stream rule. So XML stream rule is to transform that clipboard page into XML. Okay, so that you can read it, but let me again tell you. Okay, so when we have to call to external system, we have to send that format in XML. So here JSONs will not support in case of SOAP. Okay, so and our data will be there in a clipboard structure. So to convert that, okay, in request, we'll be using XML stream and parse XML. So parse XML is when we are getting that response. Okay, so then we have to parse that, because the other system will give us that response in XML, and we have to parse and then map it to clipboard. Okay, so let's read it here as well. So create an XML stream rule to define a template or skill skin. Okay, so parse XML. So you can see here parse XML. Create a parse XML rule, map data from XML text message to clipboard property value. So parse XML is basically parsing the XML. So basically when like for the request, response we will receive in a response we will parse through this parse XML, and request we will use XML stream rule to build our request, okay, from clipboard. So let's close this one, okay, and then create it. So again in interview they can ask the questions like when you will consume the REST services. Okay, so you need to tell that yes, I'll get one connect SOAP and one parse XML and one XML stream rule. Okay, inside this one, okay, sometimes you'll see hierarchy. In one parse XML you'll see multiple parse XML, but minimum you can see that one connect SOAP and one parse XML and XML stream. Okay, so let's create that. And one more important thing, so if you're liking my video, please do like and subscribe. Okay, so that is also very important. So you can see that now we have consumed it, and we can see here that country currency. Okay, so as I was saying, we got the connector. So if I'll click here, we'll be navigating to connector. Okay, so here we can see that country currency is that method name. Okay, and this is the same methods which I used. And then here we have the service endpoint URL. This service endpoint URL you have to use application settings. So maybe we will not talk today, but in other sessions I'll talk about this application settings. So that application settings you can find it inside sysadmin category, so which you need to use that. Here you can see that application settings, so which you need to use for URL, because URL should not be hard coded. And then response timeout, okay, so for like how much time we have to give before we say that timeout, okay, so that also you can usually you should try to have it through that application settings, okay. And then error handling, so Pega have this standard flow, okay, for error handling, so if you want you can modify that one. So but important things is here, let's come to request. So as I was saying, we can see that XML stream, so here XML stream, so you can see that data type is XML literal, and then parameters, and here it's saying map from XML stream, okay, in request. So here map from XML stream means map from the clipboard and send as a request. So here this is the XML stream rule, okay. So you can see that inside that country we have to just pass as country ISO code, okay. So that is where the only things which we have to pass. If you see the Postman also, what we are passing, country currency and then country currency ISO code. So you can see that our node is country currency and then ISO country code. So we'll build that request also and we'll see, okay. So this is XML parse XML stream rule, and in response we should see that similar way. Once we receive the response, we can see this is the parse XML, okay. So we will parse the XML and we'll see the currency code name, okay. So this rule, and where you can see this rule, so here in under integrations connector, you will see the connect soap. So if I'll go here, we can see that country currency is there, and those mappings, okay. So basically the request and response mapping we'll see inside this one, integrations mapping, and you can see that parse XML. So you can see that we just created default, okay, and this one name, and root is this one, and XML stream rule also we should see this one. So now country currency parameter, okay, and map from, okay, so that everything is there, okay. Now next thing is that we want to run this one, okay. So there are like various methods you can call directly this service, okay, country currency. But the best way now, what Pega is also suggesting, that we should create a data page. We can call from that either from the flow also we can call using integrations SAP, or we can call through the activity, but let's learn it through calling from the data page, okay. So today I'll not be showing how to call, how we'll plug it in real applications, but if you have the data page and if you're able to get the data in your data page, you can do that, okay. You can plug the data page in your applications layer. So let's go ahead and create another class inside data, and then we'll say the country info. So I'll say this one, and then a data layer, I'll go here, and then I'll create a class country info, create data model, and then sysadmin class. So this part, basically what we are doing, we are trying to consume this, like we are trying to execute this, okay, call from this connect soap, okay. So we will be calling from data page. So we are trying to create a data page here. So before creating a data page, we need to create a class. So here we'll say country info, and before we go there, okay, and then here we can select the rule set as well, in which rule set you want, if you want to do. So we will be creating in the same country info. So now our class is ready. So you don't have to confuse, okay. So this is a data class, and the one which we can see here, let's review that country info, let's put it here as well. So this is data layer, okay. In case of REST, Pega created a data layer. Here we are trying to create manually, okay. And here if you see that integrations class, or integrations class of connect soap, here we gave till country info. If you remember, organizations int and then country info, and after that this Pega added country info service. So okay, so this added it from here, okay, country info service from the WSDL, okay. So you don't have to confuse with that classes. Okay, so now we created the class. So if I just refresh, here we got a class. So inside this one we'll create a data page, okay. So we'll go and create a data page. So for each method, and for each method you'll have, or each operations you'll have one connect soap. So similar way, for each connect method or operations you need to create a separate data page. So here we are using that, what we are using, currency one, right? So this one, what is the method, let me see that, country currency, okay. So here we'll say d underscore country currency. So I'll just put this name, okay, country currency, and then Pega will add d, okay. So we'll be creating this one. So now this database will be type of page, and we'll leave it everything like that. And here instead of connect rest, here we'll select soap. Okay, and then we have to give that name, so we'll give that country currency is the name. Okay, and then here see here, up from here also we can pass the endpoint URL. Okay, and if you want to use application settings here, or then if you have your on like DCR page or some data page, okay, you can use that as well. Here we gave that, and now we have to create a request and response. So here we can say req for request. So as if you remember, like last class I explained that integrate request will be in integrations layer and response will be in data layer. The same thing here also, it should be the similar way. Let me save this once. Country currency, why it is giving error? Let me refresh once, because the classes didn't came country currency. Let me select now. So now class came. So if I now try to create, we should see that, see it is creating an integrations layer. Okay, so you need to remember this one, request will always go to integrations, because we are trying to map all those data on integrations and then send it to integrations layer and send it to other system. When we are receiving the response, that is data. So in country info, we'll be creating that request. So we'll not do much, we'll just for now comment it out, and then I will fill that request. Okay, so and then we'll similar way we'll create a response as well. So we'll just for response res will say, and then if you remember that data source and everything, the all concept is same here as well. Okay, so we will have a data source. Okay, Pega will add the data source in parameters. See, it's automatically adding. Okay, and then here also we have the data source, and from that we are copying to primary. And for error handling also we have that. Okay, so we are not seeing that one in some other class. We can see how we can do the exceptions handling, error handling, okay, for the services. So now we can simply save this one. So you can see that there is no issue, we saved it. Okay, so now the next thing is that we have to build the request. Okay, so we have to form a clipboard page so that the request will be built, okay, through XML stream, and then it will send it to other system. Okay, so here we'll do a set. Okay, so if you remember, okay, let's come back to here our request things. Okay, so this was XML stream. So inside country currency we have to send this one as country ISO code, and the same we have here as well. So basically we have to build this one. Okay, so from clipboard page we have to build. Okay, so let's do that. So let's go to request. Okay, and here we'll see that country currency parameter will say here, and then here country currency ISO code. So this we have to set. So basically here we can say update page, this should be a page type, and then country ISO code, and here we can say param. So that will come from the our applications layer. So here we can say country code, because based on country code only we are getting that value, getting the value of that dollar. So done. Now this value will go here as well. So we'll just check in this one, because we are done. So this is how request will get formed. So if you see here also that, where is that, sorry, so this is country currency. Okay, so come here, one more thing I wanted to show you, country currency. Let me come here. So you can see that the question is, you can ask that country currency parameter there I'm trying to set. Okay, but here the country currency. So here what is basically happening, the name is country currency param, but the node name is country currency. Okay, so that is where like how it is happening. In the actual property is named this one, and but the node is this one. So end of the day, when this XML stream rule will form that XML, okay, it will use this one node name. Okay, so that is where you can see in that here also in postman country currency. So let me set that, and I'll show you that XML also. Okay, so now we'll just check in. So we'll say WIP, and we'll go to this data page, and we'll add this parameter country currency. Okay, and then just save it. And what will we have to do, we have to make sure that we are passing parameters from all over the places, so that it will go. Now we'll just, so now it's done. Okay, so we are configured. So now the next thing is that simply wherever you need it, you just call this one, and and use the response. Okay, so we have in response what we are receiving, we are just receiving only one thing. Okay, so let's map that as well. So currently it is mapping the entire thing. So value from data source, it will map the entire data, so that's fine. Okay, as I explained in the last class, if you need the entire things you can map it, or I showed you few other options also how you can do that, so you can maybe use that one. Okay, so or if you have not watched that rest one, so watch that one. Okay, that one as well, because that is very important. Most of the organizations is moving to REST API. So let's run this one. So now when I'll run, it will ask me to enter that country code. Okay, so let's say I'll enter IN. So for IN, what we should receive, we should receive that rupee. So we are not getting that response. Okay, so let's trace it, what is happening, and run it. So here, okay, as I explained that it will create with the D and some random value. Okay, so here you can see that we are getting that response, so there is no issue. Okay, so on this page we are getting the response, but on the actual data page we are not getting that response because the mapping is not happening correctly. See, in D underscore country currency we are not getting. Okay, so we are just getting the parameter what we are passing, but on this temporary data page we have the data. So basically we have to map that value. Okay, so that mapping has not been done. So let's come to response data transform, and here what we'll be doing, so data source, and then here we'll say response parameter response dot and country result. Okay, now we want to map this one. Okay, so we can create one property. So here we are just in response, we just needing only we need only one property, so we'll just create directly. Okay, that's fine, or we can map it to py level or any property, but if you have an object, then you should create an object and map it to your proper data class. Okay, so that's how you can do it. So for now I'll just create a one single value attribute. So I'll say country currency. So I'll simply create a country currency. I'll remove that result. Here also you can see that, okay, in response country currency result, and inside that we are getting name. Okay, so I'll just create country currency so we'll map it. Okay, so now it's done, so I'll just close this one. So here if you see that we have to go till that level to get this value. Okay, s name. Okay, so we'll keep adding this one. Okay, so let's go to end. So country currency result dot ish name, and then here country currency. So we are done. So now when I'll run in, country currency is undefined. Why? Just now I created. Okay, I don't know why it's saying. Okay, so now it's done. Okay, so let's check in or just simply run it. Okay, so now we'll run this one, this data page again, and here this time we'll pass in. See, here we are getting country currency rupee. If I'll just pass US dollar. So now you understood it, right? So and the same thing, if you want to call it from your applications layer, nothing, like you have to write a data transform. So let's say I'll quickly show you that as well. So let's say I'll quickly create a data transform at applications layer. Okay, so I'll write. So if you see that our all this rules is there in country info, I'll write a data transform in applications layer. So here I'll say applications layer. I'll say get country currency. Okay, and then I'll copy the class. So this should be the class. So in work or in loan request, wherever if you want we can create. So I'll just create in loan request, and then I'll select the rule set to loans because we are creating at applications layer, and then simply here I'll set that param dot country code. So that is what it is required, country, or we can simply copy it from the data page. So just go here, copy this one, and let's say this value for now we are hard coding, but it will come from your applications okay, application. So here we can say, let's say can, or here also if you want to make this one also parameterize, you can do that. So whatever way, and then simply in the next step we can say update page, and then refer to this data page, the underscore this one. Okay, so we can, that's how also we can do. And now or we can do it in a little different way as well. Okay, so it all depends like how you want to do. And then if you want to map it, so let's say I can just say comment, and if I run, then what will happen? Okay, so it will do that same thing. Okay, and here on this page we have that country code. So let's say here only I want to map it. So I can do update page also, or I can simply use set. Okay, and then here I can say like this country currency, and then country code colon. I mean, you don't need to pass explicitly, a parameter will auto get passed, because if you have many parameter, okay, you cannot like, you won't be able to pass it like one by one. But here I have only one, so I'm just passing. And then here on this data page, if you remember, we created and set that country currency. Okay, so here I can just set country currency. So I'll go to end, because we already have on the data page. And here for now I'll just use py level, or we have that country, right? So let's just set that in country only. So let's run this. So we should get that Canadian dollar. Run. See, we got Canadian dollar. Now what we can do, we'll just update in. So this value, whatever we are hard coding, that will basically come from your applications property from the UI. So see, for we got rupee. So you can see that it is working. Okay, so let's run one more time here. Let's run this service, the main service. Okay, main service, and we'll pass some different value. Okay, and let's trace it and see what is happening. So we'll do a trace and then run it. So see, we didn't get any response. Okay, so here it is saying that country code not found in the database. So this is how like we have to do exceptions handling. So this is kind of a positive response only, but what we have passed, our parameter is wrong. But sometimes our service, like service endpoint is, or all endpoint URL is also not working. So in that way, how what we will get. So let's say here I'll come to this soap one, and here I'll just remove one things from that endpoint URL. Okay, and now I'll run it. Okay, so let's try to run it. So we should get an error because our endpoint URL is not correct. So now I'll pass the correct country only, and then I'll try to trace it. So see, we got a soap service fail, and inside error page we can see that, okay, transport error 404, not error not found. So basically we are not able to connect to the system. And this, so like while exception handling, we check this value py status and py status message. So it's clearly saying fail. So if it is a fail, that means there is some connectivity issue. Okay, so it's not like the success response. The last time what was happening, when we were passing some wrong country code, then we were connecting to the systems, connections was successfully established, but we were not getting the response because that's not a valid value. But in this scenario, okay, we are getting a 404 because whatever the endpoint URL we are passing, that's wrong. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and discard it and then run it again. So if I'll run now, it should work. So see, it's working. So this is it for that REST connecting REST API, and I think I have covered it. Okay, all those things. So you try to consume this one. You need to learn this one as well. So don't think that only you have to REST learn REST connectors. This is also important, and especially you should learn two things, REST and SOAP. Then at least you should be able to achieve like most of the requirement in your project, because most of the applications uses this two. Okay, so that's it, and I'll attach this visual URL as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, so that you can do your POC. So thank you very much. Have a good day.